Ken McKenzie, thank you so much for staying with us on TPI. As I said earlier on, it's been such a wonderful experience for me, but visually, in terms of the audio, in terms of the content, the Bible's come alive. But here, you don't keep it romantic, you keep it real, I would say, because there's a part of it that journeys through the Bible and slavery.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
Sure. I think we need to go back to look at the mission statement of the museum, which is to engage all people with the Bible. So we celebrate what the Bible is, and we celebrate that this is an amazing book. And every faith that says this is my prime book, that's who we celebrate. And with those faiths, my personal faith, I'm a Christian, so I believe it's God's Word. And folks come here and they have a chance to see that. But at the same time, we want to be able to keep it real and say that although it's a good book, the use of it hasn't always been good. And one of the areas
the use of it has been by humans.
Been used by humans. And one good example of that was we were given, it's called the Slave Bible, on loan from Fisk University. And as best we can determine, there's only 3 left in existence. One's at Oxford, one's at Cambridge, which you probably find interesting.
Absolutely.
And the third is at Fisk. And through a partnership with Fisk, they've donated it or loaned it to the museum for this particular exhibit. And we think it's such a powerful artifact of its time that we've created an exhibit all by itself. And so you go in, it's a large space, but it gives you a chance to spend some time and understand what this book is saying, because it was first conceived in 1807 and published in 1808. And the book was a missionary group in London decided that they would create a Bible for slaves in the West Indies. And in doing so, the reason they gave to the owners was, we can teach English to slaves. At the same time, giving them benefit of the doubt, we believe that they were trying to introduce Christianity.
Right.
But they knew that if they presented a 100%, here's a whole Bible, that probably wouldn't work when he's talking about things about freedom and equality. Most of the slave owners probably didn't want to hear that story or have it taught to their slaves. So this particular book, called the Slave Bible, a typical Protestant Bible has 1,189 chapters. This book only has 232. Wow. And so it has taken out everything that has to do with freedom and everything that has to do with the freeing of the Israelites in the Old Testament from Egyptian bondage. All of those things are gone. Wow. And so it was used as a way of continuing the bondage rather than being the book of freedom that it is.
Now, for you, when you see things like that, because there are other things you would have experienced, because it seems to me you immersed yourself into this place when you came. How did that affect you and your journey of faith?
To me, it really it makes it more solid, makes it more real. You're not just picking up a book that is only about you. And I found that in my time, I'm not a biblical scholar, I call myself a student of the Bible. The time that I've spent studying and attending church and such, the Bible means something to me, but I'd never taken it further afield to understand its true history over time. And that as we look at the numerous archaeological discoveries that are being turned up even today, how they continue to point towards the veracity of the book. As I mentioned, I just had a chance to come back from Israel. We visited the Qumran caves where the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. Right. And when you find documents that are over 1,500 years old from the time that they were then put into the book of the Bible as we know it now, and to find that for the most part, all of that script is the same then as it was now.
So sorry to interrupt. So for someone coming in here, because one of the biggest things you hear people say when they're talking about the Bible, those who may not be of your faith or my faith, is that, oh, the Bible is just a bunch of stories. There's no scientific proof behind it. Are you suggesting that I can come here as a Christian that may not be so solid in my faith, and there will be enough science, enough apologetics that I can glean from here that will make me walk out and be able to talk more confidently about the Bible and my faith?
We certainly hope so. The content of this museum, we've measured it all. It would take you 9 8-hour days to go through it all.
How long?
9 8-hour days. So there's a lot here.
Wow.
And the thing is, and we keep changing it. So you may have come and seen it all, and then all of a sudden something new comes out.
Sorry, forgive me. So in that time, how much help do I have to help me process stuff, or do I just walk around and figure it out myself, or do you have stuff built in? People who can, whisper to me that actually that Dolce & Gabbana dress is one round the corner. Yes. That's this link to the Bible.
We love that dress. What we recognize as an educational institution that everybody has a different way of learning. And so when you come here, you can have a tour. A docent will take you on a tour. We have 6 different tours that are offered, so you can pick one that's of interest to you. Probably what we're most proud of is one of the philosophies when we built the museum was to build everything through a digital guide. So you could actually come in, if your way of learning is to just be able to have a voice tell you what's taking place as you look at different artifacts, that's what the digital guide will do for you. You pick it up, it's complimentary, and then you load what you want to see, and it takes you off, and you absorb that way. Mm-hmm. So we really enjoy that. At the same time, we also know that folks around the world that are interested in the Museum of the Bible and the Bible itself may not be able to come to Washington, D.C. So how do we engage them with the Bible? In the building, we have a virtual reality experience, and it's a trip through Israel. I had a chance to go down there one day, and we had an Amish family that was here, and as they were leaving, I said, "What'd you think?" And the mother looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "I never thought I could go to Israel, but now I've been there." Wow. And that's what it feels like to have that virtual reality experience. At the same time, the studio that created that experience for us sent me over a set of goggles, and check this out, and they've 3D mapped the entire museum. So you put those goggles, you're sitting in your living room in London, and you can be at the museum, and we can point out things to you. And that's what we want to start offering. Probably it's going to take till 2020 before we can.
No way.
To be able to engage,
I could take that back to London for
sorry
my
about
children.
that.
Oh, no.
But to find ways to engage people beyond just the museum itself.
Now, our time is up, but one final question for you. At the end of your tenure as CEO here, what is the one thing you would have loved to have achieved with the museum?
Oh, wow, great question. I think more than anything, I'd love to know that folks who come here and spend time leave with a greater understanding, but a real engagement with the Bible, and are curious and say, I need to know more. We represent so many faith traditions that call the Bible their own, from the Jewish community all the way through all the various Christian communities, to people who don't have any faith at all. And to have them come and say, that was really well done, and now I actually want to learn more. That would be, I think, the best legacy of all.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.